There we go. Let's see how this works. How's it going, team? This is the Brown Man. And hopefully you guys see in that corner Chibi Amanda. My artist, we got 50 chibis for my thumbnails coming in. We're gonna have pretty much a chibi for each character. A chibi coming up for Mia Allen, and that will feature in our day one video of her release. If you're looking forward to that art, stay tuned. If you like this kind of content, like, share, subscribe, etc. If you like it. Or if you just want to support, you can do something like that too. So I recently did a long form tier list. I'm actually a very wordy person. So I'm also going to do a short form just for the people who don't want to spend the time listening to 40 minutes of me breaking down each character extensively, which is fine. Your body, your choice up in here. Okay, let's immediately go into it. We're going to go into meh. There's nobody that is truly evil, but we do have some meh in here. And the only reason why we have meh is because there are other characters who just who simply do what they do a lot better. Unfortunately, I know, and I'm not too quite sure how to do it, but not everybody can be top tier. Of course, everyone is viable. And of course, we can go with certain setups, etc. So we're going to go into Lord Arthur. Lord Arthur is meh. Damage is good. Everyone likes damage buffs. But there's just certain things that's just so much more important. You buff melee, and yes, everyone uses melee. But melee involves trading, and I typically, as a player, I don't like to trade the demon. I want to win over the demon. I don't want to trade a one-on-one. I don't want the demon to get experience hitting my team. I don't want the demon to force my team to use Shemps because we're all meleeing. No matter how much you think you're doing, if the demon is meleeing the team, then that spread will eventually force the support to use some of their support items. Even if you feel like you have the resources to do it, once again, the demon gets experience for each hit. They're not trying to win every engagement, right? Demons have to think long term, and I think many survivors don't. The demon isn't trying to win all these engagements. They're trying to get experience. They hit you, they slap you, they get experience, and they build up, get stronger. Melee allows for trade. I do not like trading. I want to have the trade advantage. I want to go 2-1, 3-1. I don't want to go 1-1. Especially when it costs resources. And he actually, once again, melee is just one of those things. And that will actually bring us into the next guy. Where's my boy? Scotty. Once again, Scotty is not bad. He's just completely outclassed by Army of Darkness Ash. He needs some buffs to some of his perks, and he needs some effects added to his perks that would make him unique. There is almost nothing unique about Scotty as it is now. He's a funny guy. I like his lines. He's great. Just nothing unique because there's somebody that does what he does better. Unfortunately. Army of Darkness Ash. What a guy, man. What a guy. Now we're going to go into Decent. Typically with Decent, these are characters that once again do well, but they have certain downsides. And several hunters will actually be here because hunters are generally good, generally hard to catch, good DPS. But the extra worry and the extra certain things just drags them down for me. It just drags them down. And a lot of them don't have something to really separate them from the pack. The first we're going to go into is Amanda Fisher, and her chibi is actually around here. I think it's around here. Right side, yep. Really cute. Naku, she does great work for me. Good damage, good DPS, and that's it. Of course, she can actually depossess allies a lot quicker because of the high DPS. So that's good. She can get rid of units a lot quicker and use ammo without spending ammo. Once again, all good things. Her ammo for days perk is a groovy perk, but her being a hunter and offering more DPS doesn't necessarily make her better. And most hunters will kind of be in this range. And once again, also the fear You want to manage your fear, because if you do get possessed, doop, doop, doop. But also, because if you stop to constantly manage your fear, that means you're slowing down, and the demon has an opening to get to a certain player. Even if it's not you, the demon has an opening because you're stopping to slow down to get into that. One of the ways to mitigate that is if you go into, it's like a therapy perk. It's on all the way on the bottom. But when you're in well-lit places, your fear goes down faster. So that's a way for you to actually house hop and constantly move forward as a hunter without having to stop by all these fireplaces or spend too much time indoors. That is something to mitigate that. And she does have some of the highest damage scaling, especially if you go into accuracy for days. But once again, if you go into accuracy for days with a pistol and whatnot, she is the, I think, the second highest skill cap character. If you use her as intended, she is extremely difficult to use. So most people go shotgun or blunderbuss. Get you one bullet in there and ammo for days. Pop, pop, pop. Next we have Ed. Of course, once again, depriving demons of experience by popping traps is always a good thing. And I do want to keep hinting, and I will keep hinting on unseen values. A lot of people said Ed was trash. Ed was never trash. A lot of people just didn't see the value that Ed brought. And I will continue to, because there are several characters on this list that I value much higher, because a lot of people just didn't see their value yet, and a lot of people are actually, I think, playing some of these characters wrong, so they don't have a lot of the value that they could bring. They're not bringing it to the forefront. But yes, depriving the demon of EXP is good. They get EXP for setting traps, but you also get EXP and stuff for triggers. Also increases fear, which increases possession chance, etc., etc., etc. And being able to naturally mitigate your fear as a side effect of this is just good for a hunter. The increased shemps and aimlet chance because of the weapon, because of the what's the weapon drop, the item drop from killing mobs. Once again, good. Not consistent, good. It'll be broken if it was consistent. If it was consistent, he would definitely be up. But I understand it would be really broken if it was consistent. Same thing for chests. He has a chest probability. Once again, not consistent. If it was, he'd be up here. But it shouldn't be because it would be really broken. So he's over here. Not bad. And the arrow as the weapon master is I at best. Just because it's an arrow. But the extra reload time, of course, is really good. Next, we actually have Kelly. Kelly's damage scales lower than most other hunters. She does have bleed to compensate kind of for that, except you're not going to leave something bleeding. The only thing that would possibly be left bleeding would be an Elagos when he's running around doing his thing. Elagos would be left for bleed, so she does have that niche for Elagos, is to handle with bleed. Weapon Master, Meat Hammer, more balance bar for the Meat Hammer, which is nice, but it's just one weapon that you get extra balance bar for. And then you have, of course, once again, more bleed. The infinite dodge from the active is not bad. Once again, longevity, but the overall lower DPS, and you're not going to just let something. The bleed is not bad, but it's once again, it's a detriment when there is a possession, your skill activates, and you're causing bleed on your teammates. So it's just like, once again, everything's a double-edged sword, pretty much with Kelly, which is why Kelly just belongs here. The extra melee damage, once again, is not bad, but it scales off of very low damage. There is somebody that does what she does a lot better, and that will actually be in the groovy tier. So we have here, last would be Cheryl. Cheryl, I know a lot of people talk about Cheryl. I'm like, yes, she is the best healer. She heals a bit more than others, but there goes trading. Okay, you're healing more than others, but things are living a bit more because your damage scales down. They get hits on your team. They get all these levels. You're healing more, but they're getting levels. I want to mitigate the trade. I want the demon to get as little from these encounters as possible. Healing off after everyone got hit sounds good, but the demon is just getting stronger and you're losing a lot more resources. Contact courage comes in clutch. If there is an engagement and you, once again, it costs a resource, it costs the shemps. If you have to use the shemps and you get the 25 reduction, it's not bad because over time that adds up. But once again, that's if the demon is pressuring you to use shemps. And for me, I'm an aggressive player, and I want the advantage and momentum to be lost from the demon. So some of these situations can actually be worked around without having 2 extra shemps. That's just what it is, and we'll go into those other 2 healers later. The good tier, we have El Jefe. El Jefe boosts melee and range damage by 15%. Got a recent buff. Chainsaws, the dismemberment went up. Got a buff. Not bad. You can go into the saw gun. A lot of people don't like the saw gun, but on El Jefe, once again, El Jefe Grande triggers on dismemberment, not just finishers. So with certain enemies, you can actually walk up to them, trigger, 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 finish. Then do the finisher to trigger it again. So you can do all these triggers on one opponent, and that's really good because you can actually trigger on a lot of these mobs, and then when a possessed unit comes in, once again, especially if you have a saw gun, that dismemberment, dismember, you will weaken the possessed unit, they'll do less damage, and your team will do more damage because El Jefe Grande procs. The saw gun is definitely an overlooked weapon on Ash versus Evil Dead leader El Jefe Ash. It's definitely overlooked. It'll proc, especially if you have a legendary saw gun. It does not do much damage, but 210 dismember. Yeah, you're gonna be seeing El Jefe Grande proc like no one's business. It's gonna be like up, 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 up. Everyone's gonna have like ridiculous damage levels. Good guy. We have here Army of Darkness Ash. He does everything Scotty does, but better. They buffed the chainsaw, so the chainsaw actually has more dismemberment than the lumberjack axe now. However, yeah, it has a decent amount of dismemberment. However, he has Weapon Master Chainsaw, so his dismemberment outclasses Scotty's dismemberment. It's just crazy. It's really crazy. That's what I'm saying. Like, they need to give him something. That's a really weird sound I made, but fuck it, I'm gonna keep it in there, man. I'm good with it. I'm weird. Of course, he also regenerates shield over time, just by doing finishers. And of course, you know what? Every time he loses a shield, even if it's not full, he blows up. He blows up for free. He gets a free blow up without an animation or anything. Scotty doesn't have that. So yeah, he just Scotty on steroids. The protagonist armor is real on this one. And we have Pablo here. Pablo, there's several ways to play Pablo. The thing about Cheryl is that nobody has to think. She's like a brain dead character, and nobody has to adjust anything. With Pablo, there's certain things you want to do. You want to invest in your shield early. Yes, invest in them early. And yes, keep your amulets to yourself. If you're playing in a group and if Pablo's not wandering, Pablo will keep everyone's shield near full. And then when the demon picks on you as a character, amulets are actually quicker to apply than shields. So between your amulet and Pablo shielding you and your teammate peeling the possessed unit or the boss unit, there's less of a chance for you to heal. It's like in a lot of MOBA games. If you're giving people a lot of shield, for example, like if you play as Geb and Geb throws a shield on somebody, it's like, do I need to heal this person? Because shields actually prevent damage. It's called damage mitigation. If the enemy cannot break through your shield, they're not breaking through to your health. And if you're playing with somebody who's making your team hard to break through because they can't break through the shield, then why do I need, once again, 8 shemps when they're not breaking through the shield to do damage anyway? Like, why would I do that? And also, this helps with, for example, facing someone like Evil Ash. Evil Ash has anti-heal. If you play and let the Pablo keep all your shields up, invest in shields early, and you use your own shield, Evil Ash will have a very difficult time breaking through survivors. Yeah, it actually gets really crazy, especially if you pop the flutist. Without the flutist, especially, Evil Ash will have a really difficult time breaking through survivors. If they all actually save their amulets and you have the Pablo popping the amulets, it gets really nuts. And it's like, so he's going to be attacking somebody, of course getting EXP or whatnot, but he's not actually going to break through to the HP that much, which means once again you barely have to use the shimps against an evil Ash that drops. It gets really nutty. And of course, being able to not be detected. Of course, you can still get detected if you go into a car or if they see their units nearby getting beatboxed. But being able to rush objectives has one of these unseen benefits of the demon not getting their levels early. If you're rushing objectives, and especially if the demon possesses a unit and is not hitting you, that means the demon is wasting energy and they're not getting levels. And you force the demon to be on the defensive, and you force it to be a book game. Rather than you trading the whole time, you force it into that. Cheryl does not do that. Pablo forces it. Once again, if you're playing that way. And even if you're not, if you're playing and with your team and you're building up their shield, they become very difficult to break through in terms of health, and you don't have to use shemps that much. Once again, shemps takes longer to apply. So under pressure, especially against like an evil Ash or something, you apply amulets to yourself, Pablo applies amulets to you, and that's a wrap. Evil Ash will have a tremendous time breaking through that, because then that evil Ash is just set up for another player, especially the hunter, to get knocked down. We're going to go into the groovy tier. Hunter Ash. Hunter Ash got nerfed because having the banishment every 54 seconds means that in the 2-minute book phase, you get 2 insta-kills, pretty much, if they go with the basics, and it got really nutty, so they nerfed it. Of course, good DPS with Weapon Master Double Barrel, spawns with Weapon Master Double Barrel. Can see crates through walls, so prevents, lessens some travel time. You can also see what rarity they are, which means you can choose whether to stop. Once again, saving time. Time saved is always good. Once again, unseen benefits, right? Always see the unseen benefits. If you're saving time, the demon gets less levels. Always think in terms of the risk-benefit analysis, cost-benefit, rather. Good DPS, as I said. And the banishment allows you to handle things a little better. So if you go double Hunter, the Hunter Ash actually helps the other or prevents rather the other hunter from sweeping your team. And of course, the insta kill saves a lot of time. For example, if people are on book, you insta banish the basic unit. It means that, well, that's damage the book is not taking. Once again, disabling units quicker or preventing damage to the book save the book. The book cannot be ignored, and this is going to go into everybody in groovy tier. The book cannot be ignored. People can sweep the whole entire game and lose on book, which is why preventing demon levels or dispatching them as soon as possible are pretty much the best ways to play this game. Because if you're just playing along, trading, and they're getting levels, you're probably going to lose at the book. You're just probably going to lose at the book at that point. Next up is going to be Henry the Red. He has some booty passives. I wish the scaling on the HP, some of the stuff was higher. I wish the extra shield was actually 2 extra shields, because you gain 2 shields as a warrior, right, when fully invested. But of course, right now his active is 7 seconds, and at 7 seconds, woof, you can still be disrupted. But when played right, Henry just can pull some really clutch plays that completely steals the momentum. So he's up here. Momentum stealing plays is really good. Army of Darkness Ash is not bad, but he can get poked out, and when the team is down, Army of Darkness Ash can just get picked on until he has no options, no resource left. He has shield regen, but of course, if the demon is specifically on you and you have no mobs, then you cannot shield regen and you cannot constantly explode. Next up is Evil Dead 1 Ash. I've been playing a lot of this guy. Oh my god. He's definitely the most intense character to play in this game. He has a tool for pretty much every situation, but you have to be quick to make a decision, and you have to be quick to act, and you have to be correct to act, pretty much, to excel as Evil Dead 1 Ash. Evil Dead 1 Ash has a D-Fear. Even if they get, for example, Demon Dashed, if you D-Fear in time, do certain things, then you can prevent possession. There's a lot that you can do, man. This guy is just nuts. He has the damage boost to guns. For example, Annie has not the 25%, but 20%. He also has heal, so people can heal from a distance. So he tops people off regularly on possessed units and especially boss units. And then he has, of course, that means he boosts his own damage. So he scales higher and the team scales higher. And something that people also don't realize is that only 3 characters in this game don't use guns well. The warriors. Everyone else benefits from gun damage, and especially if it's Henrietta on the book, you're not going to go walk up and melee on some chick who's farting. You're going to pull out your gun, unless you're a warrior, and go for headshots. And he scales all that up significantly higher, 20%. If Henrietta dies 20% faster, right? So if you have a Henrietta on the book for 8 seconds, and they lose a couple of seconds, that means that's a couple of seconds that the book did not receive damage, and the book will be, once again, defending the book. You want to defend the book. Also, when things die faster, it means they do less damage to your team throughout the game. So if you dispatch of enemies a lot quicker, that's damage mitigation. There's another form of damage mitigation. Pablo has amulets. Evil Dead 1 Ash has increasing the attack. So if you increase the attack or the damage of your team, things die faster, means they attack your team less, which means they get less experience. Once again, going back, less experience, they do less damage, you need less shimps. So all that culminates into that. And of course, you can also heal warriors and whatnot, especially if you go meat hammer, especially one of the good meat hammers, do some balance bar, do all that if you want. Or once again, you can go dismemberment if you want to just go that way. Because you have alternative healing, so when you're hitting right next to these warriors, they all get healed. And not only that, but it's per each hit. So if the possessed unit is like by a couple of units, and especially once again, if you have like a spear or something, or a sword, the sword has some decent range, sledge too, and you're hitting all these units, each unit that you get hit is healing, right? It's 35, 35, 35, 35, 35, 35, and all those add up. So if you hit like 2 or 3 units, that's going to be almost 100. That's Cheryl's bonus. Cheryl's bonus is 100, and you got almost 100. Sometimes, if you're in a mob fight, you're getting almost 100 with a single swing. You're almost getting 100 heal per swing. Once again, not costing resource, not even using resource yet. And that's why Evil Dead 1 Ash is here. He has a tool for everything, but you need to be able to switch modes constantly to get the maximum benefits, and your headshots need to be on point. So it's just, once again, he just scales so high, but he does well. And once again, he can also sustain himself in the middle of a fight if he's getting picked on with marked target and alternative healing, because typically with most other supports, they have to use an item, but you don't have to use an item per se. As Ash, you can actually do alternative healing into a balance bar move. Or another thing too is you can do mark target into a balance bar move. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and it's just really ridiculous. Especially if you go shotgun into the head, do a balance bar move, or you can do an execution, give yourself iframes, go to the next one. Like the combos that he has is really, really, really unbelievably crazy. But once again, he scales a lot to skill, and you have to be a very technical person. Last on the list will be Annie. Annie is relatively simple, like Henry, but she is very effective. Just like Henry or Evil Dead 2 Ash. She boosts gun damage. Once again, almost everyone benefits from that. And once again, gun damage scales a lot higher, and once again, it's a lot faster than melee. So once again, it's good to peel people off, so people take less damage. And not only that, but there's also a multiplier for balance bar, right? So if you hit something in the head, it does double balance bar. If you hit a boss in the head with an Annie around, that's 200% balance bar per shot. And especially if you're accurate, that rate will trump heavies. Heavy attacks take almost as long as, like, for example, 3 revolver shots. But 3 revolver headshots, that's basic revolver headshots, that's 90 balance bar. So if you do 90 balance bar before a right, 3 times, that's what, 270. That's crazy. That's absolutely nutty. amount of balance bar that you are doing to targets, right? So let's say even if you have a sledge does 70, right? Then you do the then you do the heavy attacks. You're just going, once again, you're going slower. And also, once again, you're trading. So if you're meleeing, you're getting hit, right? So the trade always needs to be considered, because once again, you want to save your resources for the dark ones, because the demon is playing the long game. Survivors are never really playing the long game. They're mostly reactive, which is why most lose in the long game. The demon wants to level up over time and use your resources over time so they can eventually overwhelm you. You want to use as little as possible. And of course, once again, most people use guns. A 55% buff to guns, being outside of Henrietta's fart range, being outside of certain ranges. And actually, it also allows people to split up for an Elagos. Elagos love when people crowd, and then he can do his little shock thing, and then run around and then pick. Like when people do range damage, all right, everybody picks a corner. Where is he? And then you shoot him. And that's another thing. Once again, with Evil Dead 1 Ash, when you shoot him, he has this little green shit that pops out of his eyes, making him a little bit easier to hit, easier to track. And of course, you take more advantage of Elagos when he's vulnerable. You do more damage when vulnerable. And that's why Annie is just good. And Annie just works like this team right here. This team up here is just is ass. It's just cancer. And that's the groovy tier. Like this team right here. I want to like it just gets really, really, really nutty. Once again, the fear management, the possession management, and to me, this is the top squad right here. They work with in any group they work, in any group they work well, in any group they are the best. This is the best hunter, the best warrior, the best support, the best leader. And they scale so high, because their abilities are these two abilities. They're simple but extremely effective. These guys are a bit more technical, extremely effective. But this guy right here, I'm gonna get beef for putting Cheryl down here. But right here, the other two supports require you to scale higher, and we have another support coming in. The other support might not be so simple, and it requires people to scale a lot higher. And one thing that helps people scale is communication in this game. And I will tell people, ping. Even if you don't get on the mic, ping. Learn how to ping. And games will go a lot smoother. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Be safe and have a good one.